the reality is that every business is different. Every business has their own audiences and what they like and they don't like. But I want you to imagine that there wasn't just like a few of us. Like I count 10 people, count 10 boxes on this screen. All right, step it up. Imagine we have 1,000 people and in a webinar, and we're then streaming it out to tens of thousands of people. Kind of crazy. Maybe not everyone's doing that, but you kind of want to get some of that stuff right? Imagine if they're all coming to your website at the one time to watch the one streaming link, and now your website breaks. That would be bad. That's the sort of thing that Avon works with to make sure that the actual internet infrastructure that you might want to stream out of works, but also thinking about, well, right, if you've got those 1,000 people in that webinar, if you've got all those people consuming your content, whatever it is that you might be doing, and they're in live stream land, how do you engage them so that once the show is over, can you possibly engage with them again? Because let's be honest, this is also a business discussion, right? So we want to be able to capture those leads and convert in a way that's meaningful for that audience. So without further ado, Avon, I think I've set you up. Please do what you do. I'm going to pass to you, mate.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Avon from Relevate, CRM marketing automation specialist. Basically helping people to have one-to-one relationships at scale. And today I'm going to talk about that digital experience, how to really grab people, how to capture the masses, as Ben mentioned. And, you know, when we're talking about having online digital experiences, you know, quite often, and you're almost experiencing here in a sense, in that, you know, we've got this short window of time, maybe an hour, and we what happens is you're trying to pack so much into it. And whilst there's some technology elements, we're going to talk about some human elements as well. So the technology elements we'll get to, but for the first part, you know, we get packed into these meetings, and you know, you've got a 10-point agenda you've got to get through in 1 hour, and a lot of times people don't really get to the point of humanizing themselves. So that's what I'm going to start with. First of all, I've also I noticed a couple of you are on my website right now, so and we'll get to how I know that as well. So if I go to my shared screen, you should all be able to see this one here with my mouse moving on it. Get some thumbs up or nodding heads. Yep, cool. Okay, so first of all, this is a little bit about me. This is some of the people that we've got in Brisbane. One of them's now moved to Melbourne just before the floods. And we've got some people in Sydney, in Melbourne, and one in Chile. So we using technology can truly work anywhere. We've got this, I graduated my MBA in the middle of COVID. So I thought it was hilarious to have a suit on the top half and shorts on the bottom half in front of what that's looking that way in my office, if you can see my face. This is me when I was in the army, and yes, those plants are what you think they are. That's in Afghanistan. And the crazy kids, my oldest daughter, my wife Lisa, and my youngest with her Christmas present, cheeky little one with a box of coal. Okay, so first of all, I want to get to a point that I'm making, and that's about, you know, persuading people to do things. Online, we're bombarded with information. There's over, you know, there's more than about 1,000 lifetimes worth of content, and that's growing and growing every single day. So what we're now dealing with is you've got a high volume of first touch. You've got people that come along and assess you, talk to you, review your stuff, and then move on. So you need a process to be able to funnel them down, and you want to be able to maximize the time that you do get with them. So the first thing you want to do is think about, you know, reciprocity is giving, and in return getting something back. So the persuasion element. So say, for example, you get a free sample at the shopping centre. Scarcity, you know, by now there's only 3 left, and you know the sale ends today. You see that everywhere. Authority, demonstrating your experience. So you can use one of these or a combination of all of these. Consistency, I made that one stand out particularly, but basically the consistency is just having a regular message, and you know, having that content go out creates that authority. Having these presentations, you know, I here am building authority, but I'm a air breathing, water drinking, food eating human, just like all of you. Liking, I hopefully I aim to make you like me. I come across as a nice person. That helps with the persuasion. And the other one is consensus. If you've, when I came in here, I was first introduced by Ben, and also, having the people in the background kind of like vouch for me gives that sort of consensus thinking that this person knows what they're doing. So live events are great, particularly if you, I don't know, maybe early on you might seed it with a few friends. But if we think about all our opportunities as a nice big patch of strawberries, these are the things you want. That means that if we have a percentage of leads that come from that, then it's probably, if we say 5%, 10%, for argument's sake, let's say 10, which means that your strawberry patch now looks like this. So you've got to wade through all of these bad strawberries to find that tiny sliver of nice ones, which is, that's a lot to get through. If you're going to make 100 calls and only one of them or 10 of them are any good, that's a lot of effort and energy. So you need systems and processes to be able to handle that. But I would say that with the right systems and processes, it looks a bit more like this. Yes, you've got your bad ones, but you've also got some that need quite a bit of nurturing and time, because people need to make their mind up. They need to be educated. They need to think about who you are and understand about what you do and why. Some need a little bit of time and nurturing. Maybe they just need a couple of weeks or a short email sequence or something, and then they will come to the decision. And then some are ready to go right now. But stats show that the ones ready to go right now are probably only around about 1%. So don't bank everything on that sale right now. But certainly don't discount anybody either, because the customer life cycle, you sort of have three main split off points. And the first one is that lead generation. So you put your stuff out online, people look at it and they go, don't like it, now move on. And so you've got an area for lost traffic. The other one is at that point of sale, when you're having the conversation and you have a discussion, or you've perhaps given them that initial meeting or whatever, and you're in the process of making the sale, and then they drop out and you never hear from them again. Maybe they just wanted to get a price comparison. And then you've got your new customers. They sign up, they buy something, they're all happy, and then crickets. And then you lose your customer to somebody else. But there's some really basic human behavior behind this, and the tech really is not a magic bullet. It's just going to help you to handle that at scale. So a lot of times, some problematic assumptions are, if they don't reply, they're not interested. Doesn't quite mean you should go all the way to keep badgering someone, but sometimes a no isn't always a real no. If they're not ready now, they'll never be. Well, that's not true from our strawberry example. And I shouldn't contact them in the future. Now, a lot of people have that sort of that doubt, and they don't want to drive it forward. Some other stats, 79% of all marketing leads are never converted to sales. So you're just being aware of the fact, like a lot of times people approach things like Google ads, so they're like, if I spend $1, I should get 2. But they don't always go that, or think about the fact that maybe that person's never heard who you are, or they don't know anything about you, or there's no trust established yet. Maybe you need to introduce yourself and make yourself known a little bit more. 65% lost due to indifference. So, that third example of new customers drifting away, that's because there was no ongoing engagement, no ongoing retention of any form. But an increased retention of even 5% or can increase your top line revenue of 25 to 95%. Most people choose someone who provide content to navigate the buying process, or discussing issues and problems long in advance. So I'm not going to read out all of them. You can read on the screen there. Nurtured leads make 7% larger purchases. So are they someone that's just going to buy enough to get the job done, or are they going to go, oh yeah, I do want that add-on here and there because that's going to make my life easier? And they're more likely to win. You're more likely to win a high quality sale rather than just anyone who's anyone. So we've got people that have brought 3-4 other customers. That's amazing. Like, think about the savings in just the sales time alone. And amazingly, 22% of people don't know what a CRM is. So if you don't know what it is, stick your hand up. We'll talk about it a bit more. Customer relationship management, but effectively, if you are going to get in this webinar and there's going to be 1,000 people, you want to generate some level of interest. You want to try and capture the details of who's in your webinar, the masses that you're talking to, and then prioritize them to the ones that are highly interested. Because back to that strawberry patch, you don't want to call all the bad ones first. You want to try and get the ones that are ready to go to identify themselves and then focus your attention there. 82% view 5 or more pieces of content. In fact, Google have a rule called the 7-11-4. 7 hours of content over 11 touch points across 4 channels. So you need to exist on what I call create 3-dimensional space in a 2-dimensional world. Exist beyond your LinkedIn, exist beyond your Facebook, exist on your website and in YouTube and across all these different mediums. Now, it doesn't have to be that hard to work. We're talking about live, so you could jump on a live streaming platform and go on to like 3 to 5 different social media channels simultaneously, and then also that becomes permanent content on those channels. You can then also download it and put it on a blog or reference it in links. So one activity can turn into a mass of content. So having a good, since the pandemic, this has only been compounded. I won't go too much into detail there, but having a lot of time and money spent on CRM can have a massive impact on your ability to communicate, work remotely, etc. So one thing we mentioned earlier was that people's sort of hesitance to want to follow up, and follow-up takes a lot of time and effort and energy. And if we were going to follow up that dead strawberry patch, maybe there's say for example, people who interacted in chat could be more engaged than those that don't. People who have their camera on could be more engaged than those that don't. No offense to anybody here, don't worry. I understand that some cameras are off, but 44% of businesses stop after the first contact attempt. Now, given the volume that you have to sift through now, you want to try and get through that as fast as possible and reduce the amount of workload early on by getting people to qualify in rather than always qualifying people out or trying to sift through every single contact. So then the ones that do convert, it's 6 to 8 times more easy to acquire. It costs 6 to 8 times more to acquire a new customer and is 16 times easier to sell to an existing customer. So keeping that retention and keeping people engaged is really, really important. Of course, referrals and convert much higher and they buy more as well. So you need to create a bit of a funnel. You want to engage lots of people. Then you need to have a good filtration process. And then at the end of that, ideally, once you've siphoned out the wrong ones and got the right ones to identify themselves, you should be have good leads coming at you like that, drinking through a fire hose. Yeah. So your lead generation activities should result in a nurture sequence. Your sales should have your thanking or onboarding, ideally something asynchronous. Everyone wants everything. Everyone wants to buy like Netflix. They want to buy like Amazon. So even if you've got a product or service, can you productize it in a digital way? Can you put it into a simply consumable thing or come up with a subscription version of it or something like that? And part of that could be customer onboarding, like some videos or some online training or something that makes them feel connected, that doesn't take you time. Record it once on the front end, provide it along the way, and you'll retain your customers much more. And then, requesting feedback and asking for referrals. And of course, automation, and I am busting through this really quickly because there's some other things I want to show you and we want to get into a bit more of a discussion as well. So yeah, you've only got 24 hours in a day. So using as much automation as possible and asynchronicity. So, you don't always have to be on a call one-to-one because that takes both of your calendars to line up exactly. Having a bit of content that you can share, a video, a document, a guide, really helps people to buy how they want to buy. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. Most people are 51% of the way through the buyer journey before they talk to a salesperson. You know yourself when you go into a shopping center, and you don't want to make eye contact with the salesperson because you just want to look around first. You want to make your own assessment. The same thing happens online. So you don't have to be super complex to get the benefits. I put this in here because this one is a super complex and it uses a particular software which was sort of founding in sort of the marketing automation processes people use today. But the issue is, or sorry, the benefit is, you don't necessarily need to do things en masse. You can do a lot of micro automations. For example, every time I get a new customer, an autoresponder to that one person is much more personalized. It's instant, like, hey, if you want info, here is a video on us. Here is a link to some other blogs and articles we've written. Here's some value straight away that isn't asking you to buy, that is demonstrating who we are, giving us some depth and dimension outside of that one phone call or that one interaction. Okay, so that's it for the presentation side. So I will just stop my share. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to mention is, obviously we've got some people here, so we want to have some live engagement. So there's some other little tips and tricks, and if you've got a pen, I want you to write these down. First of all, there is a Chrome extension called Textblaze. It's very, very easy. Now, I know that Ben and I use it for various reasons, but one of the easiest things that you can do is save some quick links or snippets or something like that. So in the chat, I've already put it on the clipboard. I'm just going to go Control V and enter. So this, no, so this is the example. All right, so yeah, you've got the Textblaze link that Ben's put in there. Quick and the dead. For me, what I've done is I've written a basically like links to further info. And you know, I first started seeing this in a lot of the American groups. They do this quite a lot, but it's just a quick text that's got a bit of an introduction, and again provides that depth. Now, the Textblaze really just is a snippet saver, so you can go back and grab it. There's 100 versions of that, but that's a free one that's easy to use, and it sits in your Chrome browser. But you can see that I've given depth. There's my LinkedIn, my YouTube. If you want to subscribe, I won't object. There's my website, and then as Ben was alluding to before, we've got a web hosting company as well. So the point is, I've been able to give some depth and dimension. Now, the juxtaposition to that is there is a paralysis of choice, so you don't want to give people too much information. But I generally say that if somebody asks, I can just pop that in there. The other one, I guess, is if you are going to use some tools. I have, and Peter, I was speaking with Dean Pascoe the other day, and he asked me for this. So this is a digital business experience course, which is free, and I will demonstrate that specifically for B2B. But you know, one of the things that that happened when I first started speaking is I noticed a number of you go onto my website. Now, the value of having technology sort of sit in the background to be able to monitor and basically have your finger on the pulse of what's going on is that so obviously I'm sharing links here and you're getting some value. Now, if I've met someone at a networking event or I'm just in a Zoom like this, I'm constantly trying to break my fingers in the chat because that's live engagement that I can get. And by break my fingers, I mean type as hard as I can. And one of these links I'm going to show you here is my book a meeting link. So everyone, I'm sure, is familiar with Calendly. Now, the problem with Calendly is that yes, it is good, but what it does not do, all it does is give you a little bit of marketing and branding towards Calendly, but then also allows someone to book with you. This is a little bit different. All I've done is I've embedded the Calendly page, and I type that from memory, so it's easy for me to type. The other thing is that you can see my company name and my name, so it kind of gives a little element of URL marketing to you. And please don't feel like this is a pitch at all. This is genuinely something that has been really, really, really valuable, and I'll show you why. So once you go to that Let me just grab it on the clipboard and then I'll share my screen. Share the screen, and I can hear, I don't know if you can hear the clicks in the background, but I can hear a number of you going to that now. I'm just going to move my chat and I'm going to go to my website. So all I've done is I've created a page, and this isn't publicly available. I've got two. One is got held back, so it's not as easy to book, but this is the one I give out at networking events. And the point of this is that as soon as people are on this page, I've got this chatbot down here, which lets me know when people are on the page. So if I click on here, I can see all of you, including people from the Philippines, on my site, and then I can click in and I can see people from Victoria. I think that's one of my team. We've got someone from using an Apple device on Chrome. And I don't want this to sound stalkerish, but this is really good evidence to how effective or ineffective your conversation or your networking or your outreach is, because that's live evidence that people are on your web page and are engaging with your content. And you can see this is a Calendly page, which I've embedded. But now, not only is it a normal booking page, you're exposed to the rest of the menu of my site. So you might naturally get curious and try to discover what else is worthwhile. I've also humanized myself with a video. I've got my socials, and now we're embedding that credibility. And again, this is not an effort for you to sign up with me, but just, you know, this has been absolutely transformational in the way that we do business, and I think everybody should know about it. So the point is, we've made not quite a rabbit hole, but we've made something like it's a little bit of a, it's a web, it's a spider web. It's kind of like this labyrinth of, not a labyrinth, not like, it's not hard to find, but it's just really easy to find more information. And it's kind of engaging, and you can bounce through to this and kind of discover with a very low effort and energy. Okay, so I've done a lot of talking, and I think you kind of broadly get the idea. Now, what I'd like to do is feel free to take yourselves off mute if you've got any specific questions. Obviously, I've covered it, what can seem a lot for some people, but interested to hear feedback and questions and comments, etc.
How painful is it to put something like that together?
It's probably just a little bit of time. Like, if you can write a web page, I'm sure you've gone and got Calendly before. There's a setting in there, just go embed, you grab the embed code, and then you just put it on the site, and then it's there. So really, they're not that technical of things, but what I'm doing is I'm stitching together three technologies: the website, the chatbot, and the calendar tool, and I've created a digital experience. But what I've also done is just made it easy for someone to discover the rest of the website. So those three things, most people you've probably all got a website, probably all got a Calendly or booking tool of some kind. If not, Calendly has a free plan. And the chatbot is a nice extension that gives me the evidence, and I think you can get, there's like $10 option or a free option. You can get all sorts, but whenever someone's there, like, that's just feedback and evidence that someone's on my site, which is amazing. See a hand raised, Mary.
Thanks for your presentation, Avon. So I got a bit lost with the Blaze, the synchronization with the Blaze and the Calendly.
They are not synchronized. Let me.
I don't get what Blaze is. Sorry.
That's all right.
On that one.
Let's demonstrate. So Textblaze is really just a text expansion tool. So it's really just a. Can you see my screen there? Is everyone seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Cool. So it's really just a, like, say, for example, I've shortcut my email. So when I'm too lazy to type 13, 14 characters, I just type /a.c. So it creates a shortcode. It's just somewhere to save stuff. So if I want to, say, for example, we're having a chat and I'm in this meeting now, I'm just going to quickly go YT. That's my little letter code for YouTube. Or I could just search YouTube. And there it is. And now I grab that link. I could paste that one in the chat. And then I've been able to sort of like quickly grab some form of marketing. Now, for me, I'm trying to grow my YouTube because we've got a lot of screen share demos and podcasts and things like that. So I want that to be a quick grab thing, but there might be something else like my messages I send on LinkedIn, or like that Zoom intro that I had that I pre-typed. So anywhere where you can save templates. A lot of times people would do it in Word docs or things like that. But the problem is it's then not searchable, so you can't get it quick fire and in a hurry. And you know, you like with this embed, I can use the letter code and just quickly type /a.c, and then magically my email will appear, or my LinkedIn URL, or some other link to a landing page that I want them to see is there. It's kind of like a quick draw holster.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, I do understand that Calendly is a very sophisticated system, but I don't know about the free part and how successful that is at operating.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's break down any kind of barriers. So you can get a free one meeting type. So I'm on a page, so let me go to a browser that's so free online appointment scheduling software. So if I was to create a page, let's do it now.
If you can share, mate, please.
Sorry?
Is right if you can share, mate?
Oh, is it not sharing? Sorry. Normally, 99% of the time, I'm sharing my screen. So.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, let's do it on my Google account. Google. Okay. So I'm creating an account, and I may just move that one there and grab a password where you can't see it. Give me 1 second.
Actually, while you do that, that's one of the things that is important. And we do have a couple more chats coming up around live engagement. Karen and I will be running actually how to run live engagement, like full-blown programs, online programs directly in the technical side. And one of the things that is important is safety, online safety. As you
Yeah, so I use a password manager and called Lastpass. It's a small investment, but I can share passwords securely. I can save it. It's a Chrome extension and it auto populates. So here I've literally just signed up and created a new account right now. And so it's creating, or it's checking my calendar. I'll set it all up later. Finish, no worries. Other demo. So what happens when you first sign up is it's going to create, or generally you get the premium features for the 14-day trial, and then it'll flick back down to you only having one meeting type. So in this one, I've got a meeting type, and then I can, say for example, up here, add to website, and then I can go inline embed, continue, and then I just grab that code, and then on the website, what I can do is go to, for example, edit page. If you've got then there's quite often there's some like drag and drop builders. This is WordPress. So I've got a theme or Elemental, which is drag and drop builder, but you could do it with Divi, you could do it with virtually anything. Maybe you just give the code to your web dev and they put it on a page. But it's, so say for example here, I just grab a HTML snippet, I can find it, HTML, and then I can literally pop that anywhere. And then I paste the code in, Control V, and then that's sitting behind there. It's a bit messy and yuck because it's not meant to be there. But effectively, you can like there's your calendar link, and they could click the button behind there. Obviously, if I put it down here, it'll render better, but I think you get the idea. So literally within about 5 minutes, I'd be able to, I've just set up an account, or less than, I think it's about 2 minutes. I've set up an account, I've grabbed the code with a 30-minute and then put it in there. So the paid ones, you get more options, but on the free one, you only get the one option. So I'm worried that in this I'm going to overdo it and give you too much. But if you're slightly tech savvy and you get the idea, then you'll be able to do it. If not, we can have a chat. There is the what's the word I'm thinking of? The digital course, which will explain dot points, basically how to put everything together. I will be adding this brand new, so I will be adding screenshots and video and things like that in. Alternatively, I'm creating a Discord channel for, let me just grab this, for marketing technology. And it's a place where, you know, like I think a lot of times, because there's bombarded with information online, it's really hard to know which one to do, or there's no like set path or recipe. You could literally, it's a blank canvas, you could do anything. So in order to reduce the amount of stuff you have to sift through, I've created a MarTech community where you can ask questions. The idea is that if we grow this, then everybody gets better at it and people ask better problems or better questions to solve their problems. And then also, you know, we use it to promote careers and jobs and things like that. Catherine, I see you've got a hand up there.
Yeah, first of all, can I just say thank you? It's been really interesting. The thing that I've never even considered before is the chat box. And I was just wondering where you look for a chat box or how you set that up.
Yep, so that one in particular is a Zoho one. So I'll just give you a link for that. So everything within a few clicks. Yeah, and chat. So yeah, it's a Zoho one. I use that one because I'm a Zoho partner, and I've got it linked actually currently to Salesforce. And yeah, look, there's 1,000 applications out there. You know, whether you want to do this, and you know, the problem is everybody. In fact, I've even got a drawing about it just there. So what I normally find is that businesses go, all right, we're here and we want to be here. And what you can't see is there's a whole bunch of blue dots here, which is all the, and I'm planning a 3D animation to describe this, but there's literally 8,000 marketing technology products on the market. So it can be really confusing on which ones to select. Different ones don't talk, different ones don't agree, etc. And so what you should be thinking about is having a technology roadmap. What do you need now? What do you need in 12 months, 2 years, 3 years? Because each time you jump between platforms, there's data loss, there's migration, there's features that you can't get in the new one that you could in the old one, and things like that. So, and you need to kind of fit that with your budget, with your business model, with future opportunities. And a lot of times people try to put old processes in a new system instead of designing new processes to suit the new capabilities that they're going to have. So, you know, the left to their own devices, most business owners will take the red path, which is all over the shop. There's backwards sometimes, and then there's forwards, and then there's no improvement at all. But ideally, you want to take a bit more of a planned approach, understand the capability and the limitations, and say, for example, we know where we're going to be at when we hit 50 staff. So all of the decisions we make up to that point are in support of that, and are not going to be a complete re-change every 2 years or 1 year or something like that. So does that help?
Yes, thanks.
No worries.
Years old or young, perhaps is how I should say it. And we are exactly the opposite of what Avon's saying. I'm happy to say it. I'm Ben, and we can't sort ourselves out. We've strapped app after app after app after app with API hookups and stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about. And there comes a point where stuff doesn't work as well as it should. And a friend of mine Sean, Avon, describes this like a leaky boat, a leaky sieve. Just stuff is just falling out everywhere. There is vast amounts of traffic that comes through our site. I mean, we have about 40,000 visitors a month. We are not getting 40,000 sales. So you kind of think about, well, what could you do? Yeah, just pass across.
Yes. So you don't want your business to run on this. Duct tape. So just for your information, I'm taking cables down. Yeah.
And that's good. Keep that part of your presentation. But that, honestly, what I describe as duct tape is very much the case. And so we're going through that exact transformation process because comes a point in time where you kind of got to grow up, right? It just took me 17 years to realize this, like most children. All right, so throwing out, if anyone else would like to ask any questions, Avon has a bucket load of knowledge which he's not touching on, and I know he's not.
We've only got a certain amount of time.
All right, I'm going to throw it a different way just because I threw some numbers down. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I guess I'm not sure where these meetings are going, but a lot of what I am offering at the moment is face-to-face, and I'm looking at ways to use online as a methodology. So I'm not attending meetings online like you, Avon, and using the clever chatbot and stuff, but I am exploring calendars and I'm exploring how to do funnels and leads and those kind of things.
Well,
yeah, just how to think about those sort of changes, how to get to that space where you're feeling confident enough to.
As a service business, most people don't, you can't ever consume a service like you can with a product, in that quite often it has to be at the same time. No two service instances are exactly alike. You cannot experience it until you've experienced it, and then once you've experienced it, you can't unexperience it. You can't return a product. So one thing you need to do is, and with all service marketing, is create that vicarious acceptance beforehand. So give someone else the example of what a session with you would be like, perhaps like this. And at the moment, I'm seeing two screens, you and me. Potentially, you could have a two-person, do your face-to-face and water it down. Maybe it's a person that you know, and you basically have little snippets of what a face-to-face interaction with you is like, and you build that into your funnel process. Or perhaps what you do is have a one-to-one testimonial, or have somebody else give a testimonial, but you can't experience it until you're in the moment. So what people are going to do, they're going to try and look at the lived experience of others, and then use that as their indicator as to whether or not they got value, or whether or not they should themselves participate in that activity. Does that make sense?
Almost. Having a big think that there's lots of big talk here, and I'm just thinking. Well,
seeing is believing. So having someone giving something else, that like a video recording. That's the other benefit of this. Like I have meetings and I'll record it, and even as an added value to the customer is, because obviously I've gone through quite a lot, and some things go over people's heads, or it might be that they need to slow it down and watch it again. And so I'll almost record virtually every single meeting. And then afterwards, the value that they get is that they get the recording at the end. So we didn't just cover, we didn't just speed read War and Peace for nothing. They can go and play it back in 1.5 times or 1.8 times speed or whatever. Yes, I have a hand raised.
Excellent. Thanks, Avon. I just wanted to add to that for Mary as well. So it's exactly the kind of thing that I look at to try to do with, I might do 1 hour sessions, either face-to-face or online. So I've got lots of small things that I've taken from some of those videos. So some of the videos are up there as an on-demand thing for teachers, but some of them I've repackaged into little shorter versions. And what it does is it gives teachers or community or whoever's going to engage in my products a little bit of me, so like that, being personal as well, a little bit of who this person Karen is, but it also gives them a little bit of a summary of what they might experience with that service. So I think, Mary, some of those video content that you do have, You could look at packaging that, because it's difficult, because a lot of people don't want to put everything out there, because then it's a sense of, well, why would they book a live program with me if they've seen it all before? But you can never replace that, you know, the fluidity of that live engagement once, you know, they've got a chance to have their questions answered, their questions, not a similar one that someone else has answered. So, you know, you can either do a full thing or just a little part of your program to help them promote, to know what that service and program will be. And that's going to, I think you've got a lot of that content already to build on.
Well, yeah, I reckon like a few snippets, like 1 or 2 minute snippets, watered down, and then in like an email drip sequence, because, you know, it's hard, particularly if it takes you, like your sales cycle, if it takes you 2 months and 8 meetings to close a deal for a half-day engagement, it's not worth it. You need to be able to have that sales process occurring in the background, so that when they are ready, they can just engage with you. The other thing is I'm banking up I've got a folder called Wow Moments. As I have customers that get in and I show them something, they're like, wow, I'm going to snippetize that into a whole bunch of people going, wow, 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 within like a 15 to 30 second bit, and then put that in amongst the bigger video that explains what we're doing. But that's kind of like that human element coming back, which is the experience of others, like that's that consensus thinking, that liking, that's the kind of things that's going to drive people towards taking action. Just doing something digitally doesn't make it good. Doing something human with digital technology makes it good.
Tell you what can really be helpful too is, as you build out that online content, it's so great to be mid-meeting, someone mention a thing and go, you know what, can I just flick you a quick link, boom, and you send it out and you've got it there, and it just builds up over time. And the best thing is, if we're really going to talk just digital straight up, the more you put out there, the more Google knows, the more people find you, and it's a circle. It keeps happening. And it's important to do. But of course, whatever you put out there, make sure it represents you and your brand.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.
Afternoon, we decided, you know what, let's try and do a thing for 500 people. No planning, nothing. No planning whatsoever. And not even knowing what the content's going to be. We just know that 500 people are going to rock up. Now, there are segments, yeah? There's the pre-event, there's the during event, and there's the after event. Walk away going, we're going to engage our audience incredibly well, pre, during, post. What would be the minimum things that you go, you know what, we totally should do this, from a minimum level?
If you've got email addresses, you need to be sending something out. And like you said, if it's no notice, and I'm assuming no notice means a couple of hours, half a day, maybe you've got some time to prepare something. Quite literally, one of the other extensions you might have seen up on mine is called Vidyard, Vidyard. And within a few seconds, I can click that, start a record, just look at the camera now, and I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a big light up there. I've got the lighting behind here. So, you know, having a good environment, being ready for online events. I can see there's some good lighting and things, some good camera, good sound. I've got a podcast mic just there. Just being ready for online events, it makes it easy to be able to go and record a video with, like, quite literally. I've got one thing where I follow up with people and I say, particularly if I've sent a proposal and not heard back, Vidyard allows the first 3 seconds to become a GIF. So there's movement. When you send the email, there's a thumbnail with movement on it, which makes you waving, makes someone want to click on it and then watch that video. So literally that, or your phone, you can record a video and put that onto your socials. And then, so there's your pre-event engagement. Obviously while you're having the event, you want to have lots of stuff in the chat, like you said, like Ben said, with the links. And the other thing is the conversation saver. You're only there for that hour, you're only there for that 30 minutes. You want to give them something they can go away with. And then after the event, what you can do, or before you leave, you can extract the entire chat history if you're running the event, quite often, depending on the platform. And then you can go through and see who commented, who engaged, who did something. and prioritize the people that ask specific questions and go, hey, I saw you had some questions. Did you have any others? Just offer value. It's not going to be like, people don't like salespeople. People don't like to be sold. In fact, I've got a course on how to sell, and you don't actually say anything. Like, there's all these closing methods, the calculator method. By now, like, you must be ready to sign the contract. So you're trying to like verbal, like, there's all these like tricks. But all I ever simply do is say, what would you like to do next? And they get to the comment, and you just stay silent and you just let them say, yeah, I'd be ready to find out more about this, or maybe I need some help here, and they will call out what they want. And all you've done is set the stage for them to be able to say exactly what they want. And asking the questions in, that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down.
Thanks so much. Anyone else would like to ask some questions to Avon or Karen or Mary or Peter? All right, so look, this is starting to draw to a close, just so letting you know. In the moments remaining, just know that in the next week, same time, different events, we'll have to get you a different link. However, there are definitely more things coming up soon. What's coming up next week? We are hanging out with some people who are very much pure through event people and pure marketing people to be able to really get your not just your engagement shining, but really augmented, really working well. And following that, Karen and I will actually go into the nuts and bolts of actually presenting a full-blown presentation. Right now, I'm not actually even in that presentation space. I'm frankly in an office upstairs because we have a homeschooling program where we just had 150 families come through in our proper distance learning room. So we'll actually do the proper thing later. But yeah, so Karen, any thoughts before we start to sort of close off?
I was trying to multitask as well as you and Avon, but I was on a different screen and not as quick on the fingers, I think. So yeah, just want to say thank you to Avon. I got a lot out of that as well. I've also got my own notes that I'm taking. So, you know, on behalf of Virtual Excursions Australia, it is about creating that network. We want to share as much information as we can, but Ben and I are both business owners separate to Virtual Excursions Australia. So we learn from these experiences that we're creating just as much as you are. There's always something new to go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And I think my biggest takeaway was, just because someone didn't want to engage in one of your programs or products or whatever it is the first time doesn't mean that they won't later. And I think that's perfect, because certainly working with schools and community, it is a lot of repetitive things like, oh, you had a great experience. You just assume that they want to do one straight away. But, you know, they're working on a different calendar or they're working on a different time frame, and it might not be the right time for months. So, you know, I've got to remind myself to not take that personally, and also just to remember that it could be 3 or 4 times that I contact the people until the right thing at the right time is the one that hits. So yeah, thank you for that. I will, you know, make sure I put a lot of the people on my community and continue to engage with them and share and create those relationships.
Just a thought perhaps to solidify that. 86% of abandoned cart emails successfully regain the customer. So what that says is someone engaged, was actually interested, wanted to buy, but something happened. They got too busy, they got distracted, the baby cried, the card didn't work, whatever it was. You know, life happens. So sometimes following up can be really, really good. But then being able to at least, you know, choose who to follow up and, you know, give them the option to come to you a little bit more. That's what really, really makes it accessible.
100%. And Karen has just put in the chat the next session coming up. Please feel free to put this in the calendars. This is well worth your time. And thanks again to the New South Wales small business community. We're getting together and we'll make yourself happy. For me, Avon, honestly, the biggest takeaway for me is don't take no for an answer. Put it in a way that is actually useful for the person in some way, shape, or form, and multiple touch points. So hope this. And Karen and Kylie, thank you for hanging out with us as well. I know you caught up with what you're doing, but thank you for hanging out the whole time. Absolutely. Now, of course, we should, seeing we are business discussion here, we'll make sure that if you want to reach out to Avon, you probably should. So Avon, you want to use your Textblaze, because that might be really handy at this point so the people can get in touch with you to know a little bit more. And by the way, again, everyone here, if you'd like to share what you do in your website, please do. You never know who's in this room and go, oh yeah, you know what? I need that.
There's another one you could try. It's a keyboard shortcut that doesn't work for you dirty Mac people. It is Windows V. And that is a clipboard contents. Obviously, I've shared quite a few things on the clipboard, and I've copied several things. So I'm just going to go back through my clipboard history and then paste my Zoom in. So I didn't actually use Textblaze with that at all. So if you've been snipping stuff around the web, you can go back 2 or 3, or I think about says about 11 or 12 or something like that, even more, and then find those things on the clipboard.
Excellent. So yeah, if you want to pop your business link in the chat, that will all be shared later on as well. So after all of the sessions and the training that we're doing on the 23rd of March, I will be sharing a sort of a one-stop sort of collation of all that information. So they'll have information about Virtual Excursions Australia, Avon, our speakers from next week as well, and all of our training tips on, you know, how to best engage your audience online. So that's in the training we will talk about audio, lighting, your background, all of those kinds of things, and how to actually engage with your audience when you are doing an online program. We will have videos of all of the sessions as well in that little pack that you'll get. So yeah, please feel free to join us on the 16th for another lunchtime talk, and on the 23rd where we've got an hour and a half special training session for that one, where you'll get to hang out with Ben and I a little bit more. So a big thank you to Avon for joining us today, and especially being able to do this for free to create that network of community of small businesses, thanks to the New South Wales Government Small Business Month as well.
Right, everyone. Enjoy your day.
Oh, right. Oh, so that booted them out, did it?
Almost.
Almost. Not me.
Just putting up the key slides.
Oh, right. No, I just thought that exited all the guests. Still popping out. There's always functions and things that I never know existed. Always discovering new things.
Yeah, it would actually be really nice with if you could choose like in webinars, say panelists only or something like that. Really handy thing to press.
Well, for Kylie that is still here, I think the feature that I like in the webinar is having the practice session within the webinar, but you can't really do that in the meeting, so you've got to trawl through your waiting list if need be.
Is that Zoom webinar? Because I mean, there's like hundreds of different Zoom webinar platforms, and one has this feature you like, one does that one you like, and then not the other one, and all that sort of thing. So it's I usually use a like a spreadsheet and go, all right, these are the features I need first, and then in order to do a good presentation, then go platform 1, 2, 3, etc. And then do like a red light, green light across each feature and function. So I did that with an ERP. I did about 100 plus hours study on each platform, including doing their courses and all that sort of stuff. And then that's what got us to select Financial Force, which is a very large ERP platform. So when we get to 50, and then working back all the things that you need in your business, and then you can address, all right, we're going to do this until we get to that point, and then we'll upgrade it to this.
You know what's fun in education land is that no matter what software you choose, eventually a government department decides that no, they're not going to use it.
Yep, they'll block it. But hey Ben, all the teachers still want to use Zoom, whether or not the department doesn't want to have their own. It was probably costing them a fortune to have their own.
They're moving to Teams. They're going 365 and whatever.
I was going to say, if you've got Microsoft, you're pretty much you're good to go. So we're working towards Silver Partner at the moment. But I mean, I'm a Dynamics 365 partner. So we're just working on that. But yeah, like anything government, I went in for a tender once for government. I'm like, all the things they want is Salesforce inside out, and you can do this and this and this and this, and it would have been amazing. And they're like, all right, so you need to come up with a plan on how to do X using our Microsoft. I'm like, oh God.
Yep. Well, honestly, we're in a tender, a grant application that's due, and this council person shared to Karen and I a link, which both of us can't get in.
Yep.
That's like yesterday. You know, oh, they just changed the thing. It's like, you guys do not get the point of collaboration, do you? It's just that they not get it.
Well, one thing we've started massive, and it's been amazing for our team or client collaboration, is that every time you come up with like we have like a task backlog. So, you know, constantly we're brainstorming ideas on what we are going to do with each customer, and you know, in terms of like, we talk about the experience. They're like, oh, I want a landing page, I want a Calendly, I want a something else. And so we kind of like brainstorm a massive list that they can never complete, and that grows. And then we select them, and then we put them in the pipeline, and we get this chunk done, and basically agile development methodology. But in Microsoft Teams, we share that with the customer. So now they've got full visibility on everything happening. There's a wiki page with all of the, you know, knowledge base on who the customer is and what their problems are and how they work, and who the key points of contact is and all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, they got full visibility as we're doing stuff, as we're asking them questions. It's amazing. So collaboration is, Teams is quite good. But as of Christmas just gone, Teams Connect was not a thing until Christmas just gone. So now you can easily connect to externals, which before was an absolute nightmare through Azure.
No, this is perfect. And thanks again for today. And I know in some ways it's a bit of a favor to me.
No.
Much appreciated. Hopefully you might get something out of it. You never know. But we got the recording that you can repurpose, which is always handy.
Honestly, I'd be more than happy to do another one. I hope it was valuable. I can change the topic for next time.
Yeah, I mean, what was actually nice was, I mean, you're actually touching on an area that I probably wouldn't go into on this engagement is just as much getting the stuff, like getting people to your site, etc. Like in just the hack tools, like stuff that grab people's attention. I'd be very curious to see what the other two who were muted the whole time, but were here the whole time. So maybe they're driving the car or something.
Well, I removed Karen at the end because she wasn't going anywhere. I did remove her, and there was someone on the list, and they were obviously in the session, Avon, because they were from the Philippines. They were registered from the Philippines. So I'm not sure how they heard about it. And I thought because the numbers weren't ridiculous. So
Dean Pascoe is part of the same networking group, and his employee was that guy.
Okay.
And because the company is Boomerang. We went through a whole process to hire someone there. Unfortunately, the day the guy got the job, he decided he couldn't work anymore because of some family issues. So, but long story short, I know them well. And actually, I was talking to him Dean, the director, 2 days ago about that digital engagement course, because he asked me, how do you do all the stuff that you do? And I'm like, I'll build a course.
Yeah, and it's simply just time. Like what you were describing, I was sitting in there internally kicking myself. Jackie knows this. We've got so much stuff that we could turn into things, and we just don't have bloody time.
I did that in 2 hours. That course in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Let's type that. It's all up here.
Yeah, and time is the challenge, and it's just, repackaging stuff, and that's why when Mary had a lot of questions, and Ben and I have known Mary for quite a long time. She actually had to do the end of her training course in forest therapy online, so she actually had to create videos. So I know that she's got that collateral that she could package to then do exactly sort of what you were saying, having that personalized, this if you do this is the kind of the feel and the look of it.
Well, I'm trying to create more like course content, and some of it free, some of it paid, but mostly just to attract and educate, because if anyone who like gets the bug and goes, oh, this would be good, that'll be good, then they want to do more, and then they get some more advanced stuff. And then, for a smaller client that perhaps may not be worthwhile, we don't leave them in the cold. We go, here's some free stuff that you can consume and get to know, and eventually when you're ready, and that's that nurture thing, is that no one's necessarily a bad contact. Eventually when they may have hired a couple of people, they may have got some success, they're like, oh, now I need a CRM. I know exactly who to call. There's no question. It's not a matter of if, it's just when.
Yeah. No, that's good. No, mate, really appreciate it. If you will, welcome to rock up.